on today's glorious Madam Web Spectacular here on the John Campea Show podcast. We're talking about Mark Ruffalo. Apparently said he was going to be in Captain America 4, but now saying, no, I'm not going to be in Captain America 4. The Super Bowl that just happened? Yeah, the most watched American broadcast in over 50 years, and why that's so important to the world of streaming right now. We're going to talk about that. You guys remember we mentioned that Amazon was now going to charge Amazon Prime members to see their programming on Amazon Video ad-free. Well, there's actually a class action lawsuit going on over that right now. The upcoming Star Wars show, Star Wars Acolyte, which I'm actually very, very excited about. Apparently, we've got a release window now, and a trailer could be dropping any day. Madam Web reviews are in, and they're every bit as, bad as we kind of thought they would be. And Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, has smashed the all-time trailer views record. That and a few things more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or different than ours. Joining us in the studio today, I got Ray Ora. We got Jonathan Voico.
Hey.
Chris Carr is here today.
Hey, everybody.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. And here's how the show's going to go. We break it into two parts. The first part of the show, we talk about those predetermined topics that I just listed off. Then in the last part of the show, which is the most important, we get to your live comments and questions, and you guys can use the super chat feature to send those in. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get things going here with this. You know, maybe even more oopsie loose-lipped than Tom Holland might be, the man himself, Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, who infamously once accidentally streamed the first part of one of the Avengers movies when he was in a private screening of it and streamed it to his Facebook page. He also accidentally gave away the ending of Endgame one time. So, he's had a few slip-ups. Well, he was at I believe the Santa Barbara Film Festival this week, and he was doing a Q&A when he misunderstood a question that was asked to him, and it got everybody excited. So let me set the stage here. Apparently, you might have seen a bunch of reports going around that Mark Ruffalo confirms he's in Captain America 4. Well, apparently that's not the case. This comes to us from Variety, who writes the following. Asked by moderator Ann Thompson, I love Ann Thompson, she's one of the best in the business, if he would next appear in the 2025 feature Captain America 4, Ruffalo nodded his head and said, yeah. And asked, are you allowed to talk about that? He said, yeah, it's going to be great. Alas, according to multiple sources, Ruffalo is not actually going to be in Brave New World. Instead, he misspoke, thinking he was just agreeing that Brave New World is one of the next Marvel films, not that he was going to be in it, which makes more sense when you read his answers. He says, yeah, and that's it. And she's like, do you want to elaborate on that? He goes, oh, it's going to be great. It didn't sound like he was answering the question, are you going to be in the movie? But just, he thought she was basically asking him, is this like the next film coming out? And he said, yeah, it's going to be great. All that kind of stuff. Now, there are a couple of things to keep in mind here. One, which is going to be the obvious one that I think a lot of people are going to bring up is, oh, no, he let slip he was going to be in it. Now they're trying to backtrack. That he is indeed going to be in it. I don't buy that here. Now, listen, Mark Ruffalo is notorious for being loose-lipped. But the reason I don't buy that here is because if Hulk's in Captain America 4, Hulk's going to be in the trailers of Captain America 4. Like this, it isn't going to be some like little surprising. Hulk is a mainstay, regular MCU character. It's not like this is a situation where, I don't know, Halle Berry was going to pop up, right? Like that would be a surprise. That would be something different. That would be something out of left field because, Halle Berry popping up in an MCU film. Hulk's a regular mainstay character. Him popping up in a movie is not going to be some big secret or some big surprise. It's like just standard MCU. He's in the Thor movie. He's in the Avengers movies. He's in the She-Hulk show. He pops up all over the place. This isn't something they would be really desperately trying to keep under wraps. I could see it, though, because why everybody would think that, including me a little bit, because we just talked the other day about there's that crew jacket picture going around for Captain America 4 that has the Captain America shield with the red hand around it, which is clearly, at least we think, a red Hulk. So maybe the green Hulk would be in there, but apparently that's not the case. So yeah, for me personally, the way he answered the question combined with the fact, why do you think they'd be trying to keep the guy who shows up in everything a secret that he's showing up in this? I kind of believe this, that he's not going to be in there, and probably they don't need him in there anyway. Anyway, Chris, you read the statement. Hey, listen, Ruffalo has let stuff slip before.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I think he is legally allowed to say 5 words about Marvel projects now. I think he can say, yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Because not only did he spoil the ending for Infinity War on Good Morning America, he live streamed the first 20 minutes of Thor Ragnarok, and then he spoiled the ending for Endgame. Like, the dude is a very sweet man who's so excited about his work, who has spoiled so many things before in the past, that I think he has to be so tight-lipped now, because it's just, he's notoriously associated with all these spoilers, right? He can't always have Don Cheadle around making sure he's okay.
Dude.
No.
That was like one of the best moments in an interview. Don Cheadle just looking at me, dude. But bottom line, though, like, you are notorious. You have trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
You have big
I do.
trust issues with Hollywood people.
I absolutely do.
Do you think he is going
trust
to
and
be in
love
Captain
no
America
one.
4?
I don't think he's going to. But they did go through a lot of changes with this one. This was a project that rumors were it was potentially being scrapped, and then they've done a lot of reshoots to make everything come together and work
What they're
better.
defining as extensive reshoots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he could end up in there just to add some other familiar faces. I don't know if after we just saw Barbecue Hulk, right, Hawaiian Luau Hulk, that he's the one who's going to save it in the rewrites. But Mark Ruffalo's presence could make a difference here. I just don't think they're going to have him in here, though, at least in a big major role, because the focus needs to be on Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
I don't think you put in too many of the other Avengers in this one. We still need to really associate him as Captain America. And I think, if anything, we see the other Avengers in little, like, blips, right? Maybe Bruce is doing an interview that there's a cut to or something. I don't think they're going to interact in a very real way. Personally, that's my assumption.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on this thing that, why would they try to make this? It's not going to be some big surprise thing that, oh my gosh, Hulk is in this. Hulk's in a lot of stuff in the Avengers universe, so I don't see. So I kind of believe this, that he's not going to be there. But who knows? You never know. Andrew Garfield denied it forever. Question is for you guys: what do you think? Do you think Mark Ruffalo actually accidentally let it slip and now he's just backtracking, or are you like, yeah, it wouldn't make any sense for them to try to keep a Hulk appearance a surprise at this point? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, let us know your thoughts down below. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, in the world of streaming, there's been a lot of sports talk lately. Of course, there's the big Netflix thing, if you want to talk about sports entertainment. Netflix making an investment of $5 billion in securing the rights for the WWE's Monday Night Raw. We've been hearing about Amazon, Disney Plus and Warner Brothers, as well as some others, creating this mother of all streaming services that's going to be like all the sports you can possibly handle. We've seen one of the big, playoff games in the NFL leading up to the Super Bowl being streamed on a streamer. It's like, and I've heard a lot of people, why are streamers going after so much sports right now? Well, this story might give a little indication. You guys know that the Super Bowl just happened, and it just wasn't watched by a lot of people. It was watched by more people ever, at least since the Apollo moon landing. This comes to us from Deadline. The 2024 game is not only the most watched Super Bowl ever, it is now the second most watched TV program in history, only behind the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing. Though that aired across multiple networks, this also means that the Chiefs have played in one and the two most watched Super Bowl games of all time. You want to know why streamers are so desperately to get into the sports stuff? Here's a list of the most all-time viewed broadcasts in American history. I want you to notice how many of them are sports, particularly the Super Bowl. You, of course, got the Apollo moon landing that happened in 1969. Since then, we've now got the newest Super Bowl that just happened with 123 million viewers. Then last year's Super Bowl. Then the 2015 Super Bowl. Then the 2022 Super Bowl. Then the 2014 Super Bowl, the 2016 Super Bowl, the 2012, 17, 11 Super Bowl. Until finally in 11th place, we got Richard Nixon resigning. And then it's Super Bowl, MASH finale, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. In the last 50 years, the top 10s are all Super Bowls. And so in the question about in this age of streaming and stuff like that, why is Disney? Why is Netflix? Why is Amazon? Why is Paramount? All seem to be tripping over themselves, trying to get their hooks into more sports content, particularly the NFL for a number of them. Well, it's because nothing gets watched more than the NFL in North America. That's just it. They watch, you notice, they listen, as much as my beloved greatest sport God himself has ever created, hockey. You don't see any hockey on this list. You don't see any baseball on this list.
Hey.
Yeah. You don't see any NBA. You don't see, it's football. But I mean, all these other things are growing as well.
I was shocked to see The Day After was on there, even at 18. I remember that show.
The day after it, I think it was 1983. I remember that scared the living shit out of everybody. You're a little bit too young for this, Chris.
What is
but
that?
I was like 10 years old. And this is like when the Cold War was still going on, Russia and the U.S. I can't remember which network did it. It might have been NBC or ABC. They made this TV movie called The Day After that was Russia and America go to nuclear war.
Yeah. And
nuclear bombs going off and what it would be like in America after a nuclear war. And it just scared the crap out of everybody.
Ugh.
And everybody watched it. Like everybody watched it.
Like, we should get to the treaty table here soon.
Yeah. I think it scared everybody into scaring them straight. But I mean, other than that, it's Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And then every year when you look at the ratings lists, it's, AFC divisional playoffs, NFC championship game, Monday night football, Sunday night football, blah, blah, blah. It's just sports. And that's why that has been the one missing pillar in the streaming offerings has been live sports. And the number one reason why a lot of people still keep cable instead of just becoming complete cord cutters is because they need their sports. And now that streamers have figured this out, they're going to go hard and heavy after these things. As a matter of fact, they just announced, I think, that next year, it's either the AFC or the NFC championship game is going to be exclusively streamed on Amazon, I think, or one of the big streamers. At any rate, Chris, you're one of the world's foremost sports pundits.
I'm so glad we waited till this topic for me to be here. Thank goodness.
But even as an average streaming viewer and stuff like that, when you look at these sheer insane numbers, and I'm sure the fact that the Deadpool trailer was playing during the Super Bowl and Taylor Swift was at the Super Bowl, I'm sure those help the numbers, but still, it's always Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Does this explain more why streamers are going after it? Do we expect them to go more hardly after the sports kind of content? What do you think?
I think so. I think you need some content that gets people viewing on the day, right? It's great when you have evergreen content that you can come back to or stuff that people really enjoy, but it's that live, you gotta see it right now kind of content that streamers have been missing out on. And that's also how you get subscribers. It's why a whole bunch of us go to each other's houses for these events too, because I don't have that channel. I don't have that thing. Let's all watch it together. I don't want to pay for yet another thing I have to watch. So it makes sense that they're trying to get into this. I mean, I watch these obviously mostly for the commercials and trailers.
A lot of people tune in.
I am there for the snacks. I am not there for the content.
Some are there for the
smooches.
Yeah.
Good for them. And this honestly though was a really great game. This was a really fun watch.
Game.
It was really cool, and I learned a lot this time because I did not know any of those overtime rules. But apparently neither did the 49ers. So that's it's fun stuff for everybody.
Speaking of Super Bowl commercials, did you see there is a 5-minute extended cut of that Ben Affleck, Matt Damon J-Lo
For
Dunkin'
why?
Donuts thing? Because it's the greatest thing on the internet.
No.
Oh, it was the greatest commercial ever in Super Bowl history. And the 5-minute thing, they just released it this morning.
Ugh.
Ann and I watched it, and we just laughed our asses off for 5 straight minutes.
It just, every time I just feel so, as the kids say, it feels so cringy. And I'm just always like, why are you shaming Boston like this?
Oh, it was
Why?
the best Super Bowl commercial ever.
Ugh.
Tom, you can stay. Oh, I love that.
Man, Tom's really trying to get that commercial money now that he and Giselle aren't together. He's got to
Well,
make ends meet.
I think he's okay. But did you see that other commercial they did where the sports betting app
Yeah.
with Vince Vaughn? It's like everybody can enjoy sports betting except for Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's like, why? You've won too much. You don't need any more winning. How come Wayne Gretzky gets to do it? Because we're good with Wayne. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about, I mean, first of all, staggering numbers, like the most watched broadcast in over 50 years. That, again, I know it had something to do with Deadpool dropping a trailer and Taylor Swift, but still incredible numbers. Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that down, let's move on to this. One of the big trends in streaming the last year or so has been streaming now introducing ad-supported tiers. Because remember, streaming used to be about you get a subscription and you get to watch all this stuff without commercials. Fabulous. But then the streamers started realizing, you know what? Traditional cable television had it right. That's where the real money is commercials and advertising. So they introduced new tiers on Disney Plus, on Netflix, on Max, on Hulu, where you can pay a cheaper price, but you get some commercials. And that's how they make more money. Now, one of the last holdouts was Amazon Prime. And you guys remember a short while ago, Amazon announced that they were now going to make Prime Video ad-supported, but if you pay $3 extra a month, then you still get ad-free. Now, I was personally okay with this because I get Prime Video as a secondary benefit because I get Amazon Prime for free Amazon deliveries. That's why I get Amazon Prime. And they just happen to throw in Amazon Prime Video, comes along for free with that. There's like 20 different perks you get when you get Amazon Prime. And I was also okay with it because when you look at all the other streamers, that $3 difference between ad-supported and ad-free was the cheapest added cost out of all of the streamers to go from ad-supported to ad-free. So because of those two things, I was basically, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Amazon Prime is going to charge more for an ad-free experience. Every other of the streamers do it too. And as a matter of fact, Amazon's is going to be the cheapest. So I'm like, I'm okay with that. But there's a group of people that this affects that are not okay with it. And it's kind of understandable why. And they are now launching a lawsuit against Amazon for this price hike for the ad-free experience. This comes to us from the folks at the Hollywood Reporter who said this. But when Amazon altered its terms, users who had signed up for the annual subscriptions were also impacted. They allege the change is deceptive. Subscribers must now pay extra to get something they already paid for, the complaint states. Okay, look. Like I said, in principle, when Amazon first made this announcement, I'm like, this isn't unreasonable. All the other streamers have paid or ad-supported, not ad-supported. All the other streamers now have, you pay a little bit more for ad-free. And Amazon's is only $3 extra, which is cheaper than all the other ones. This is okay. But I didn't think about the people, and I'm actually one of them. It's like, wait a minute, I already paid. This is what a lot of people are saying now. I already paid for a full year. And when I paid for the full year, it was understood that I get free 2-day shipping. It was understood that I get, the Amazon Basics stuff. I get the Twitch benefits. But it was also understood that I get ad-free Amazon Prime Video. I didn't pay month to month. A lot of Amazon Prime subscribers pay for their full year up front. I, every year, pay for the full year up front. A lot of other people do too. So now there's a group of people who are saying, hold on, time out. I already paid for this service. And when I bought it, the terms were ad-free Prime Video. And now you want to charge me $3 more a month when I've already paid for the full year. So even as somebody who says, yeah, what Amazon is doing is reasonable. It's it's what everybody else is doing. They're keeping the price down, blah, 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 right? That all goes out the window when you're talking about people who already paid for something. And you know what? Screw Amazon on this. Damn right. What should absolutely happen here? First of all, the lawsuit is as far as lawsuits go, it's not for a huge amount of money. It's for $5 million, which to Amazon is something they make in the time it takes me to squeal spoiler pig. There, Amazon just made $5 million.
Yeah.
But
Bezos sneezes and farts by accident and 5 million comes out.
But like the notion though that people who already paid for this year, already paid for the service, must now pay more, that's not good. And that's a really bad look, actually. And it's something that we didn't even think about when this first Amazon thing came. Now, look, once your year is up, yeah, that's fine. Okay, everything's fine. But as long as somebody's already paid for their year, for Amazon to come in now and say, give us $3 more a month, yeah, I get it. It's only $3 a month, but that's still bullshit because they paid. And I really hope this is something the courts can do something about and say, look, you want to make these changes, that's fine, but you got to honor the deals you already made with your existing customers who already paid for the service. Anyway, Chris, I was really kind of surprised when I read about this, and I'm partially surprised because I didn't think of it myself. What do you think should happen here? How do you think this is going to go? What are your thoughts?
Sue them and rule in favor of the people, of the cheap people like myself. Because I think the article does such a great job in the Hollywood Reporter of saying subscribers may end up paying for something they've already paid for. Because that is what we're talking about here. Of if you were promised one thing and that what you were paying covered all of those items, then you shouldn't have to pay more money. It's plain and simple.
Right.
And this isn't the first time, too, that they've been sued for having like consumers sign up for things that they didn't actually want or didn't realize they were paying for. This article goes on to talk about how they got sued by the Federal Trade Commission back in 2020. They were sued again. A federal judge in 2022 dismissed a different proposed class action suit that had sided with Amazon because of saying that users didn't have to have their movies like stay with them forever, right? We've talked about that on the show before of, okay, but if I bought that movie, I think it should be mine. I think I should have that forever. You shouldn't decide that, well, Chris Carr, you only paid $15 for that movie, so screw you, you don't get it anymore. We decided it doesn't exist here. I really would like, and I know it's a drop of water in the bucket for Mr. Bezos and his, penis rockets, but I think that they should pay up on this. I think this is really, really shady business, and I would like a court to side in favor of the people who are proposing this lawsuit, because even though it is just $2.99, it's so many people's $2.99, and they've been getting away with this shit for a while. They can afford it, and I understand they're trying to make money off of a streaming subscription, but you just got to tell people, right? We've all gotten that obnoxious email, hey, your rates are going up. Hey, Apple TV is going to go up. Hey, Netflix is going to go up. We get those emails, and then we either decide if we're going to jump ship or if we're going to stay. And you know what? Most of us stay. We may be bitch and moan for a day, but then we still want our content. So just be honest about shit. I don't think it's that difficult.
Well, especially when it's something you already paid for.
Yeah.
Like we made a deal. Like if I give Ray $100 to bring me lunch once a day for a week, and then halfway through the week, he only brings me the appetizer and says, well, now I've decided now that if you want the entree with your lunch too, you got to pay me another $5. I'm going to give him the double effers and say, no, give me my money. And that is exactly what Amazon is doing here. So I really hope this does get straightened out. I want to see people get what they paid for already. And again, after that's done, fine. Like, yeah, it's not an unreasonable thing to charge $3 more for ad free when Prime gets you all this other stuff and everybody else is charging you more than that. Yeah. I'm fine. But when somebody's already paid for something, deliver on it. Yeah. And damn it,
exactly.
Amazon, you've got enough money that you shouldn't be trying to cheat nickel and dime people like this. So anyway, that's just me. All right, guys. with that down, we're going to take a moment here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Mint Mobile and Fume. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. On average, it takes about 30 days for a person to break their New Year's resolution. So if saving money was on your 2024 list, your odds aren't looking that great. Luckily, I have a 100% guaranteed way to save you money this year. Just switch to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month. I've told you guys many times that after switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my cell bill than I used to with a major carrier. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All Mint plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And don't worry about having to change phones or numbers. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Fume. Have you ever tried to break a bad habit and felt like you're climbing uphill? Yeah, we've been there too. But here's a breath of fresh air. Fume. It's not about giving up, it's about switching up. Fume takes your habit and simply makes it better, healthier, and a whole lot more enjoyable. Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and make replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. I'll be honest with you guys, I was a little uncertain about it until my package arrived and I tried it. I couldn't believe how perfectly balanced it is, how fun it is to have in your hands, and how great the actual flavor was. Plus, Fume just released a magnetic stand for your Fume, so there's no more losing it around the house. So start the year off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/Campea and getting the journey pack today. Fume is giving listeners of the show 10% off when they use my code Campea to help make starting the good habit that much easier. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile and Fume for sponsoring today's episode. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of my most highly anticipated things coming out on streaming this year is going to be Star Wars Acolyte. Now, 3-4 years ago when Disney did that big Investors Day call and they announced all the stuff that was coming, a lot of which never came to pass. But it's time when they announced that Fantastic Four was coming and all that kind of stuff. One of the shows that they announced that immediately caught my interest and I was immediately excited about was Star Wars Acolyte. The whole idea of kind of telling a Star Wars story from a different point of view, maybe a darker point of view, which is really exciting to me, and taking us into an entirely new time frame that Star Wars movies and TV shows have not really taken us in before. Add on top of that, some of the cast is incredible. Daphne Keane, who everybody fell in love with in Logan as X-23 in this. Jodie Turner-Smith, who's amazing. Jonas Suotamo, I believe is how you say his name. You might not recognize his name, but he was Chewbacca in all the new Star Wars movies. So I don't know if he's playing a Wookiee or I don't know if they're actually giving him a role to play. And I forgot that Carrie-Anne Moss from Matrix fame is going to be in it as well. Everything I have heard about this show, every way they've described it, also when Daphne Keane was talking about it a few months ago, has done nothing but got me really excited for it. I am hoping, fingers crossed, it's going to be a lot more, Andor than it will be Boba Fett. I'm hoping it's going to be a lot more of that. Because if it's more like Boba Fett, well, then it's going to be dead on arrival. But if it can be more kind of like a darker, edgier, action-focused Andor, which I think is the best Star Wars thing ever made since the original trilogy, then we could be in for something good. But one of the things that we have not known is when are they going to actually release it? We've heard a very nebulous 2024, and so we've kept our fingers crossed. We know that production on the show is already done. Well, now new reports are coming out that are saying that Acolyte is being aimed for an early summer of 2024, which means it could be coming as soon as within the next 4 months, which would be really exciting. And on top of that, a report has come out that says they've got a trailer locked and loaded, ready to go, which means maybe we got to wait a few more weeks, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe by the time we're done this show, but we should be able to expect an Acolyte teaser or trailer of some kind fairly soon. Chris, I got to tell you, there's not a lot that happens in the world of Star Wars right now that gets me really excited. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. The Rise of Skywalker was really a punch to my enthusiasm balls. It took all the wind out of me, and I've not been super stoked ever since. I mean, Andor revived a lot of that hope, but Andor has been something I've been holding on to with a lot of hope and a lot of excitement. Anyway, are you looking forward to Andor? What do you think about these reports about when it's going to come out? How are you feeling about it right now?
The Acolyte is a really interesting sounding show. And it's also, in addition to that StatCast, it's got Manny Jacinto in there, who I love from The Good Place. I think he's wonderful, and I don't think he's been properly utilized in stuff since that show. I don't think he's had a great vehicle to thrive on, and so I'm hoping this is it for him. But I'm pretty excited. I am wondering why we aren't getting this trailer sooner, though. Obviously, Star Wars has so much post-production. So much. It's a galaxy far, far away. But this is one of the few shows that made it unscathed by the strike. It wrapped up prior to the actors going on strike. So I really thought we'd be getting footage of this sooner.
Well, I think they don't want to blow their proverbial load, but like too far in advance when it comes out.
Yeah.
Like too far before it comes out.
Sure.
I think it looks like what their strategy might be. They've got a new season of that wretched Bad Batch.
Wretched, how dare.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Wretched High Becoming Villainy.
No.
I like they sent me the first season of it. I remember they sent me the first season of it with this big goodie bag. The big goodie box was actually pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. And I watched the first 2 episodes. I'm like, this is actually not bad. Oh, then it got really bad.
Oh, I mean, it dips, but I like it.
Oh, I'm
glad.
glad. And you know what? There are other people there. I know a bunch of people like Bad Batch, so that's great. But they've got the new season of, I believe the final season of Bad Batch is about to come out. So what I think they're probably going to do is time it out so Bad Batch will run, and then when Bad Batch is done, probably within a few weeks after that, they'll launch Acolyte. So they probably don't want to overlap their Star Wars content. That's just a guess on my part, a pure speculation and guess. But I mean, if they can deliver, because this is the showrunner who did Russian Dolls, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I can check that.
I'm pretty sure it is. At least it was at one point. And like that show was incredible. So fingers crossed. Hope this is good. And if it can come out this summer.
You're correct.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So what a summer it will be. That would mean this will be coming out. I might be in a position where I can watch an episode of Acolyte and then run to the theater and go see Deadpool. Depending on the timing. I'm going to be kind of excited about that. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It is a day we have all been waiting for. A day that our parents dreamed about for their children. Mm-hmm. A day that we can have the reviews come out for possibly the greatest cinematic achievement in the history of the industry. Madam Web. So, to catch you up to speed, Madam Web was a concept that a lot of people scratched their heads and said, why are you even making this? But then admittedly for me, when I heard the basic idea, at least the rumors of the basic idea for it, I kind of got intrigued. I was like, this sounds like it could be pretty good. Well, then the first trailer came out, and it was like the most wooden dialogue I've ever heard in a trailer. Then Sony never even bothered to put out a second trailer. And then the final nail. Word came out that they weren't going to lift their review embargo until the day before the movie came out. That is always a sign that the studio thinks their movie sucks. Not that other people think it sucks, that the studio itself thinks their movie sucks. And of course, my saying is always, hey, studio, if you don't believe in your movie, why should I? And so it was with not a lot of surprise that the first reactions for Madam Web started to come out. And let's take a look at some of them. First reaction I came across was Morbius was better.
Oh, no.
This was coming out of the premiere, by the way. This is coming, Chris, you said it this morning, and I agree. I can't even believe they did a premiere for this movie. But Morbius was better, is the first reaction. Second one from Chris Parker. Madam Web is an embarrassing mess. Talented stars wasted on probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen. Remember, we live in a world with Morbius. Filled with atrocious dialogue, awkward editing, and all-around laughable structure. I sat there baffled, scene by scene. Somebody approved this. This meme will redeem it. I'm not going to click on play just in case there's some problem. Now, the best review I've heard is this one. Madam Web is totally fine. There's really not a lot to say here. The leads are charming. Dakota is a witchy weirdo. The slasher / Final Destination meets superheroes vibes are there. But there's just not a whole lot to it. Not a disaster. Just kind of there. Okay.
It's like me.
Next one. Madam Web is a clunky, poorly written mess. Messy and sloppy movie packed with some mediocre editing and performances. Even though it had solid cinematography and an interesting concept, it couldn't be saved due to its terrible execution. Darth Rhodes, I was not, unfortunately, successfully entertained. Madam Web is a series of misses and wasted opportunities, and not just for obvious reasons. Next one, Brandon wrote, I watched Madam Web, and it was bad. I tried to give it a chance, but sadly the poor execution didn't help it. The cast was awesome, but the performances were definitely disappointing. Now, if we jump over to Rotten Tomatoes, we see that right now it has, I'm not going to lie, a better than I expected 17%. Right, actually, let me reload this page and see if it's gone up at all. Nope, still 17%.
Woof.
And one of the first things I read this morning, I think it was either IGN or one of the other ones, that the review simply started with the line, I owe Morbius an apology. Was a great way to start a review. So let's jump down here and take a look at some of the reviews. Now remember, it's 17%. That means there are going to be some people that like it. Let's see. AV Club writes, Madam Web is a laughable affair, intentionally so at times, but for much of its 2-hour runtime, the laughs come at the expense of the arguably capable work being put into it by its charming lead. Mashable wrote, Madam Web is burdened by too many threads and not enough fun still. It could be worse. That's glowing. Put that on the poster. It could be worse from Mashable. Deadline wrote, Madam Web embodies the pitfalls of mainstream superhero cinemas, films not driven by story and character, but seemingly by studio mandates and franchise considerations. The Chicago Tribune writes, nobody in this movie pops or crackles or snaps or finds ways to energize the blah blah. The action's not much. The acting's minimalistic, bordering on, I don't even know what that word is.
Somnambulant? I'm
Sure.
looking it up.
I'm going to look that up. The Associated Press writes, it's too bad because there could have been more fun movie in there. Clarkson imbues it with a distinctly feminine and teenage energy that makes good use of its soundtrack, but it spins itself into a knot trying to justify a silly story instead.
It's sluggish.
And then we come to a positive review that says, isn't going to, and for whatever, I think the thing's stuck there, Jonathan, isn't going to reverse the ongoing decline of superhero cinema, but unlike some of its notable contemporaries, it's strong enough to make its intended sequels feel like promises rather than threats. I like that.
Oh, there we go. Now it's moved. It moved.
All right. Let's see. This one says, within 5 minutes of Madam Web, this is, again, another positive one. I heard in my head, it's Morbin time. The film spins in a really good time by being entertainingly terrible, or, this is a positive review, being entertainingly terrible, or what some might call camp. Frankly, after seeing it, I am so ready and excited to watch Craven. Cinemania writes, a weak script incapable of taking advantage of an extensive collection of comics inevitably leads to disaster. There are action scenes that never happen that seem to be saying that what matters to the public is no longer relevant beyond justifying a brand. And John Roque over there wrote, Madam Web is a boring and ineffectual film that paralyzes its acting talent with poisonous script full of laughable dialogue, nonsensical character choices, and unearned moments of emotional closure while not delivering on any of its superhero promises. Okay.
But at least there's going to be a part 2.
At least this almost guarantees a sequel. Right. First things first. Want to remind everybody that this movie is one that I have not seen yet. Ray and I are going to go watch it tomorrow night. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe.
Happy Valentine's
Oh
Day.
man.
I cannot speak to its awfulness firsthand. I've just been anticipating its awfulness because Sony has effectively told us the movie's awful, right? Sony has spent the last number of months telling us that this movie's awful. I am still beside myself trying to understand how they started this project by getting the writers of Morbius. Actually, let me bring up the writers again, because I want to get the other movies. The writers of Morbius, of Gods of Egypt.
We're just outing these people now, huh?
Of Dracula Untold. I will give them credit for, what was it called? Lost in Space. I will give them credit for Lost in Space, the Netflix show, because that wasn't bad. That was actually pretty okay. But they wrote Morbius, Power Rangers, Gods of Egypt, The Last Witch Hunter, which is vomit-inducingly bad, Dracula Untold. So Sony started with, let's really give this all of our effort. Let's go out and get nothing but the best. And they got quite possibly the worst writers working in Hollywood right now that's getting their stuff produced. So they started off by getting the worst writers they possibly could. Then they put out a trailer with the most wooden dialogue they could have assembled. Didn't even bother to put out 2 more trailers, which a standard movie does. Held the review embargo. I'm telling you, Sony has spent months telling us this movie is bad. Some of us just didn't believe them. I did. Marcus, why? Where's Sony Jesus? That's Craven. Craven's going to save it all.
I'm looking for a reason to be excited for this movie, and I found it.
What is it?
AMC Theaters is selling a Coca-Cola light-up cup that I will get tomorrow.
There we go.
It's not even like branded for Madam Web, by the way.
It's just a light up cup. It's not even a
glowing
Madam Web light up cup.
Yeah.
Let me have this.
You can have it.
Let me just have this.
This
Put a literal light beacon in this bleak, bleak evening you're going to have.
Look at this.
this movie proves again that Warner Brothers was right. If a movie sucks this bad, you just pull it. You don't put it out. Because this movie being this bad, by them putting this out in theaters, they've now hurt their future box office for Kraven the Hunter. They've hurt their future box office and excitement levels and potential buzz for Venom 3. This is a project, if it's this bad, they should have just fucking pulled it. And I'll go back further. No, they should have just fucking tried. They should have tried. Now, look, I said this before, but let me say it again because I think it's relevant. I always push back on my fellow movie fans when they say, they didn't even try. It's like, you know what? They did try. Making movies are super, super hard. Everybody starts making a movie, planning their Oscar acceptance speech in their head. Everybody thinks they're going to do something great, and they try. But making a good movie is really hard, and oftentimes people just fail, but not from a lack of effort. This is the one time, though, I got to look at Sony and say, I don't see the effort. You literally started off with the worst writers you could have possibly gotten. Oh, because we just worked with them on Morbius. How'd that turn out?
It got a re-release.
Yeah, they got the big re-release. They didn't even bother to make multiple trailers. I honestly cannot remember for the life of me the last time a wide release Hollywood film had one trailer. I can't remember. So they didn't even bother making trailers. And then when they knew their movie was crap and they knew it was hopeless, they just held the review embargo until the day before the movie came out, and they're just sitting at home in Sony Towers crossing their fingers that enough people don't have the internet and are going to run out to the movies this weekend anyway just for something to watch because they don't like reggae and they don't want to see the Bob Marley movie.
Fools.
That's
Fools.
the
Fools,
only
all of
thing
them.
I can think of. And Chris, how does a studio who does, listen, everybody likes to jump on Sony sometimes. Sony does some freaking awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And even just in the realm of Spider-Man, how can this studio put so much love, care, attention, recruit in the right people, empower the right people and everything for their animated Spider-Man
And
stuff,
for PlayStation.
and with all the PlayStation stuff, right? Look what they did with getting behind The Last of Us and all this kind of stuff. How can a studio a company that can do some things so very well, including their Spider-Verse in the animated side, like they bothered to get the right people. They bothered to put the right budget into it. They bothered to give it the right push. They bothered to give it the right marketing campaigns. They put their energy in it. How can they be so good at those and be so unbearably awful at this? Because I'm starting to think Tom Hardy himself single-handedly saved Venom. Like, I don't know what's going on here. What do you make of all this?
Doesn't it make you even more mad that people told folks like Lord and Miller, hey, maybe one day you'll get to direct a live action film once you graduate from these animated ones?
Yeah, you'll make it to the real movies.
Yeah. Like, I just keep wondering if Sony saw what happened with AMC meme stock and just went, well, let's really lay into the meme part of this.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with Morbius, and that's what people are already saying about this, of the memeability of Madam Web. And people have been scratching their heads about this for a while, too, y'all. Like, not only did we only get that first trailer, when that first weird trailer dropped, Dakota Johnson dropped her agent and moved to a different agency.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Variety reported on this of like, maybe
totally
it's a
missed that.
coincidence, but maybe it's not, where she jumped ship from WME to CAA, which, I mean, both great agencies. Well, any actor would be so lucky to be repped by either of them, but an odd move to do the day that your trailer comes out, right? We don't have any other information coming out about this. Wildly deviates from the comics, which we know is usually not the end-all be-all of something. Marvel constantly
that
deviates.
Can be fine. It can be fine that you deviate from the comics if it's good.
But they also keep deviating from the Spider-Man of it all, right? And I just don't know how they expect people to get excited about this Spider-Verse when they keep putting in so little effort from what it seems. I'm still going to see this movie, not on Valentine's Day. I don't know what person wants to have the worst romantic day of their life.
Yeah, my excuse is my
guys.
wife is teaching a class
That makes
tomorrow
sense
night.
to me.
That's my
Poor
excuse, so I'm
Ray.
free.
No, man.
He's going to get that light up cup.
Lonely.
I want to be home.
There's going to be a lot of people home alone if they take their days to see this movie on.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people in the theaters.
Well, and to your point, too, about how it's going to discourage people from seeing other projects, too. I don't know how you could have faith in Kraven the Hunter, honestly, after these movies. I don't know how you could say, you know what? I'm a person who just keeps giving second chances, third chances, fourth chances, because these movies just aren't delivering. And we always want a movie to be great, right? Making a movie is hard.
Very
I don't
hard.
care what anyone
Almost
in this chat says.
impossible.
It's really hard to make a movie. It's really hard to make a good movie. And I say this with all the humility of an actor who is constantly ending up on the cutting room floor. I know that about my live action experience, so I'm not going to disparage anybody here. But when you have these resources, when you have this star power, when you have so many writers who would love to take a crack at especially these incredible characters here, I mean, a lot of these are some Spider women who a lot of people don't know about. And you have the opportunity to really mold a universe and do something really cool. It's a shame when it happens. I mean, E-Man, his out of the theater review talked about how he felt like he was trolled by this movie. I don't want to go see a movie as a Marvel fan, as a movie fan, as a human being on this planet that feels trolled by content that isn't meant to.
We better get double points for this.
Get
Like
double
triple points.
You know what? Let's. I think it's time for us to do a ticket update for Madam Web.
yeah.
See
There's
if
actual
anybody's.
2:30 showing.
do
We should
this.
just go to that one. The earlier we can just get it out of the way.
All right.
the
Well,
better.
let's check it out. Let's check out the 2:30 in the afternoon showing for Madam Web.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God! There's like 12 tickets sold. That's way up.
Before it was just 2.
Let's check the 5:30. I'm expecting more here.
I don't get it. Are people not doing anything for Valentine's Day?
Not this, at least.
This is opening day for Madam Web. I want to revisit something though, Chris, that you brought up.
Sure.
Because it's so key. You know, I said a little bit earlier, this kind of situation just kind of proves that, you know, if you know you've got a really, really, really bad movie on your hands, the best option might be just to shelf it. And here's where, to go back to something you brought up the Craven, right? I am somebody who have been possibly naively so optimistic.
You've been real jazzed about it.
I have
Yeah.
been optimistic about Kraven the Hunter.
To a
I know
fault.
too many people who got brought in as writers after we saw footage.
But we saw the footage at CinemaCon
Yeah.
last year. It wasn't the best thing, but I liked it. I had fun with it.
A man's nose or eye got eaten.
Yep, got
Was it a
bitten
nose?
right
Nose
out.
a nose? Okay.
And so, while, again, admittedly, maybe naively so, I've been kind of optimistic about Kraven and looking forward to seeing it. I'm not now. And I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying you shouldn't hold the failure of one movie against another movie. I'm not talking about choices. I'm talking about what my natural feelings are just doing now. I am no longer interested in seeing Kraven. Now, when news comes out, we'll pop it. When new trailers come out, maybe those can get me jazzed a little bit again. But as of this moment, I went from being interested in Kraven to now Sony shouting at us that this was a bad movie, and now hearing that it's a really bad movie. I have now lost my faith in their ability to make this universe work, and I'm no longer interested in seeing Kraven. If they had just scrapped this movie, because clearly Sony knew the movie was bad, right? They've done everything to show that they knew the movie was bad. If they had just shelved this movie and pulled the plug on this movie 3 or 4 months ago, I would still be sitting here today as somebody who was looking forward to Kraven. But I'm not now. And you guys know how much I love the Venom movies. I'm still looking forward to Venom 3, but my enthusiasm for Venom 3 has now dropped a bit. It would have been much better for you to, if you knew this thing was a pile of crap, to just pull the plug instead of just dump it into a theater and hope some people get tricked into go seeing an opening weekend. You've now hurt your future films by making something this bad. So maybe if you'd tried when you're starting out this project, maybe if you went out and got, I don't know, anybody else to write this, maybe if you'd showed any belief in it, things would be different, but it's not. And now I don't care about Kraven. And I did a couple of weeks ago. No, I don't.
At least we're going to have a real great supercut of all these reviews and the abysmal box office.
That'll be fun
and
to
then
watch.
that little moment in the trailer going, she didn't see that coming.
Oh my God.
Nice.
I cannot believe it. Cannot believe it. Anyway, guys, I can't wait to do our out of the theater reaction of Madam Web tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of, and watch this. You know what? The one silver lining, the silver lining in this
boy.
is that it is impossible for my expectations to get any lower for this movie now. I'm expecting one of the worst cinematic films of all time. That it might set me up to come out of the theater going, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Maybe that's the silver lining. Maybe I'll be able to come out and go, because it wasn't the worst film I've ever seen, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
So good, we might even leave early.
We might even, it was so good, I don't need any more. I'm ready to go right now. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. Guys, with that down, let's move on to something a little more positive here, shall we? Now, of course, the Deadpool Bowl happened this weekend. I know there was a football game, but let's face it, a lot of people tuned in because of the promise of a first Deadpool trailer. Now, there's been some discussion about how big can Deadpool be. And I've been saying for a long time, Deadpool is going, as long as the movie's good, because if it's bad, then all bets are off. But if the movie's good, Deadpool will be $1 billion film. And, there's been a lot of talk, nah. Comic book movie fatigue. I keep hearing that, which, by the way, is not a real thing. Comic book movie fatigue. It's been too long. Nobody really cares, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the Deadpool trailer, of course, did drop this weekend. And the reports have now come out. It broke the all-time record as the most viewed movie trailer in history in its first 24 hours. With 365 million views in its first 24 hours. To put that into its context, Spider-Man, the text might be some small, I'll see if I can make the text a little bigger here for you guys. That might be a little bit too big. Spider-Man, and I can't move the page, so I'm just going to go back to its regular size. Spider-Man, No Way Home, had set the all-time record at 355 million. Avengers Endgame, the first trailer, had 289. Avengers Endgame, the final trailer, had 268 million. The Lord of the Rings of Power, as a TV show, but everybody wanted to see what the first look of that damn thing was going to be, so it says it's 257. Transformers: The Rise of the Beast, everybody watched that trailer. But then Infinity War, Lion King, Thor: Love and Thunder, the It teaser, and another Avengers Infinity War rounded out. I want to point out something here. The top 3 all-time viewed trailer, all of them billion-dollar films. One of them, $2 billion film. Spider-Man No Way Home, almost $2 billion film. Of course, Avengers Infinity War, billion-dollar film. Lion King, billion-dollar film. Thor: Love and Thunder, not a billion-dollar film. But I think this says 2 things. Number one, if y'all have been sleeping on just how much people are looking forward to seeing a new Deadpool movie, it's time to wake up. That's what this number tells us. It is time to wake up. I would even propose the numbers of the Super Bowl were a little bit higher because people knew Deadpool was going to be playing on it. People are clearly psyched and excited to see something that has the promise of being really good. You know, I've been saying for a long time, there is no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. There is mediocre movie fatigue. You know, if people were going to get fatigued of comic book movies, it would have been 5 years into its incredible run, or 6 years into its run, or 7 years into its run, or 8 years into the run of the MCU. Here we are in year 15. And it's not a coincidence that as the quality of the movies has dropped, that's when enthusiasm has dropped. It's not comic book movie fatigue, it's mediocrity fatigue. So when something that people believe has the promise of being really good again, something that has met expectations before, has delivered an excellent movie experience before, the 2 Deadpool films, now to have that back as the only MCU film coming out in the year of 2024 with one of arguably the biggest movie star in the world, Ryan Reynolds, good Canadian kid, of course, sporting a good Canadian haircut there. You put that out, where's all these people fatigued? Where are all these fatigued people who don't care anymore? Oh, they're rushing to their computers and they're rushing to their screens and they're even turning on the Super Bowl so they can see the first glimpse of this Deadpool movie. Don't think for a second that this movie isn't going to make $1 billion at the box office. I'm not saying it's going to make 1.5. I'm not saying it's going to make 2. But don't think for 1 second this movie ain't making $1 billion at the box office. And don't tell me that people aren't excited about comic book movies anymore. Because they are. They're just waiting for them to be good again. So I think there's a lot to take in there for this. Anyway, Chris, we're talking about people rushing out to watch the trailers more than they watch the Endgame trailers, more than they watch Spider-Man trailers. Anyway, what's your takeaway from this when you see these numbers?
I mean, it makes sense to me. This is our only Marvel film we're getting this year. It's the only one. And no matter how you feel about where Marvel's at right now, if you are still very gung-ho and you love everything they've been doing, if you are one of the people who's been saying it's a mess, they need to sort things out, Marvel Jesus is here for you, baby.
Marvel Jesus is here.
Right. Because it seems like we're working with the TVA to spruce up the timeline here. We're doing some stuff. It looks like we potentially are dealing with maybe where they fought Ultron or where Logan died. I don't know. It's hard to tell. We've got, Patch in the mix. We've got Pyro showing back up. So we've got a whole bunch of really interesting stuff happening here. And if you are a diehard comic geek, you watched this trailer like I did over and over again going, no, that's Cassandra Nova. That's not Charles Xavier. I'm very, very positive. Like, you came up with your own fan theories. This is a really exciting thing because this is what I think, at least for me, what I want when you do multiverse is, okay, well, then how do we do what they did in comics and we gear down towards what we all really like or gear down to what really is going to work well? And I think if you do this whole Deadpool kills the MCU and kills like the Fox universe and combines what we want, does kind of cafeteria style with these things, so we have a little of this, a little of that, we can end up with a really amazing Marvel universe again. And at the very least, we're going to have a really weird, raunchy movie that features pegging. Pegging and Disney in the same sentence? What a day to be alive.
You know, we talked about that yesterday, that, you know, one of the big concerns a bunch of people had is that, well, now that it's a Disney, they're going to keep the leash on the Deadpool movie. They're not going to let them really beat Deadpool. They're going to make them
it's like a BDSM leash.
Yeah, they're going to tame them down, right? And I feel like one of the reasons, I think that was the reason that within the first number of seconds of this trailer, they have Deadpool making a pegging joke, saying, listen, pegging's nothing, isn't new to me. I know it's new to Disney. You know, doing that just to kind of telling the audience, this is the Deadpool you know. This is the Deadpool you remember. And, you know, now that Kevin Feige, again, has his power, we've already seen a couple of the major things Kevin Feige's done since Bob Iger came back and gave him his authority back, which Bob Chapek had stripped away from Kevin Feige. He stopped production on Daredevil Born Again, said this isn't good enough. Our mandate before had been just rush this thing out and get it ready for Disney Plus. I now have the power again to make the decisions. Great. We're stopping what we're doing on Deadpool Born Again. We're going to scrap everything we did. We're going to go back. We're going to start with a new story. We're going to tell this. With Captain America 4, we saw one of the first things he did was, you know what? We're not going to rush this out the door the way I was mandated to before. Now it's my power. It's my decision. We're going to stop production on Captain America 4. It's not good enough. It's not up to our standards. We're going to go back. We're going to do extensive reshoots and make it the movie that it needs to be again. This could be, and I say could, right? Because it could not as well. This Deadpool movie could be the beginning of the resurgence of the MCU now that Kevin Feige's got his power back. They seem to be concerned about quality control again. And obviously, contrary to popular belief, when you drop a trailer that becomes the biggest trailer in the history of cinema.
And it was a teaser.
Yeah, and it was a teaser. People are clearly still very, very hungry for it. They're just hungry for quality.
Yeah.
Something that they haven't been getting a lot of the last couple of years. And if Deadpool can deliver that, and if Kevin Feige can right the ship, this could be the beginning of the resurgence. I'm getting tired of complaining about Marvel's quality. I want to go back to the time when we just got to celebrate how great Marvel was. But we haven't been able to do that on a consistent basis. Here and there we have been.
Yeah, Guardians.
Shang-Chi, Guardians, WandaVision, but not on the consistent level that we used to be able to. And it'd be nice to be able to get back to that. So let me put the question to you, Chris. I'm saying, when you clearly see the ravenous hunger people have for Deadpool, biggest trailer of all time now, how are you feeling now about its chances to make $1 billion at the box office?
I feel really confident in it. And I know some people think that this is too inside baseball. It's too meta of a movie. But again, this is our one of two bits of superhero fare that we are getting. And Deadpool's superpower, ultimately, as a movie, has been being real sneaky about what genre it actually is.
Yeah.
That first movie is a rom-com. It just happens to have superheroes in it. It just happens to have some raunchy humor in it, but it's a love story, right? This is a buddy movie that we're getting here. I think it has a lot of potential. People love Ryan Reynolds, as they should. People love Hugh Jackman, as they should. We have so many cameos happening in here that hopefully are there to be quality and fun and meaningful, not just a whole bunch of just overstuffing. But I think this could do really, really well, so long as those reviews are positive. Because that's the other thing that Marvel is really, really facing. Same with DC, obviously. Anytime we have superhero movies, when the word of mouth isn't good, people stay home because they just wait for things to be streamed now. What Disney really has to do here is make sure that this is something you cannot miss. You have to have your butt in a seat and you have to see it on a big screen.
Now, I'm going to be curious to see what happens when they put out, I don't know how many months we're going to have to wait for the next trailer, but when they put out the next trailer and it's going to feature more Hugh Jackman, then to see, I don't know, will the next trailer beat this one? Now, remember, the Avengers Endgame trailer, the first trailer, was their most watched trailer. The second trailer, down a little bit because there's that excitement of the first one. I wonder if the second Deadpool trailer will break this record when they feature more Hugh Jackman in it as well.
It could. You always have those people too. My husband's like this of he'll see the teaser and then, okay, that's all I need. I don't want to have any other information spoiled for me. I don't want to have any other preconceived notions. He did it with the Star Wars movies and he does it with all of the Marvel movies of I just want to go in here with as little information as possible, which hurts my feelings because he doesn't watch me at work.
In it. Then he wants to
see
all
if
the
Helen
trailers.
Mirren's in it, then yeah, he watches it.
Yeah,
all
Helen Mirren's in there all day.
He says,
all
please
day.
leave, and he lights some candles, you know.
Oh, my God. All right, guys. With that down, we're now going to get on to the main part of the show, which is to hear from you guys. What is it you guys want to ask, share, thoughts, theories, opinions, observations, questions, whatever? We're going to get to those in just a moment. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank one other sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Harry's. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. You know, guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wylands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. And thank you to our friends at Harry's for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? We made a mistake and kept the super chats open for way longer than we should have, but we're going to get through all of them. So let's get to it. What we got up first?
From Chef Rigo. Last night I was at the Grove and my friend and I were watching Dune for the first time ever at the AMC. Then the fire alarm went off and we had to leave.
Oh, that sucked. Hopefully they gave you a pass where you can come back and watch again. Ann and I are going to go see the first Dune again tonight in an IMAX. It's Ann's second favorite movie of all time. Getting all hyped up, ready for Dune 2 later this month. Very excited.
Gonna get that bucket.
All right, what's next?
From Samuel LaFontaine. Been following you since 2013
Oh, wow.
when I was a 17-year-old virgin. Now happily married with kids. My wife is also Filipina and I am Puerto Rican. Thank you all.
Nice.
I can't remember. Were we at AMC yet, or was I still doing the movie blog in 2013? You know what? I think I was at AMC. I was at AMC by that point. Wow. You know, it's funny. I just earlier this past summer, I celebrated my 20th anniversary of doing online film punditry. And it is crazy. Every once in a while, I still hear from people and I'll recognize their name, like who had been around since my first blog day, since the movie blog days. And it's crazy how many people have been along for the ride with us this long. So thank you so much, man. We really appreciate that, dude. All right, what's next?
From Dildar the Glorious. Pretty excited that Marvel and DC are teaming up again to bring back their crossover and amalgam comics. I know they're dumb and convoluted, but I don't care.
I got a big kick out of them when I was younger. I mean, I think these are the ones where like this extra universal being sets up a battle between the Marvel characters and the DC characters, and people would vote about who wins. And their matchups were Superman versus Hulk. I think it was Batman versus Captain America, I want to say. Robin versus Jubilee. Wonder Woman versus Storm. I'm trying to remember who the other ones were. But, and I can't remember which side ultimately won. But it was fun to see those. So yeah, it was really cool to hear that they're going to reissue those. All right, what's next?
From Jesse Roy. Hey guys, did you see the Shogun TV spot?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've never been more excited for a TV show ever in my life. As a matter of fact, for those who don't know, I am bringing back after shows just for Shogun. I'm going to be doing a Shogun after show when the show starts in the next couple of weeks. I am ludicrously excited about the show. I cannot wait. All right, what's next?
From Damaris Love, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Damaris.
Madam Web reviews are bad. In otherwise news, Batgirl dodged a bullet. Afterwards, studio rightfully shelved unwatchable film.
Yeah. See, here's the thing about making the correct, even if they're unpopular decisions. Eventually, you get proven right. And with everybody who cried and complained, oh, they should have just released Batgirl. No, they shouldn't have. Because, again, I didn't see Batgirl myself, but I personally know people who did, and it was one of the most awful things they'd ever seen. So that is what they should have done with Matt. If it is as bad as everybody's saying it is, they should have shelved it, because now people like me are losing interest in their other movies, when I would still be interested in Craven if they had just shelved Morbius, yes, but definitely Madam Web. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, Stephen Amell is cast in the Suit spinoff. Am I going to have to watch the original show now?
First of all, I would highly recommend watching the original show just because it's really good. It's a really delightful, easy to watch show. Do you see they even had like a bunch of the Suits actors in commercial and Super Bowl? They gave out a couple of the Emmys. There's this big Suits resurgence. A lot of people are wondering if they're going to do a revival of it. But yeah, so there's a spinoff coming. Listen, I'm a big fan of good Canadian kid Stephen Amell. I think he's wonderful, and I couldn't be happier that he got this role. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, Stephen Amell. Oh, sorry, thought we just did that one. Matt W. Can't wait to see Stephen Amell in Suits spinoff.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see him up there, and it's good because his Heels show got canceled. So it's good to see him. Jonathan was joking. Yeah, he plays a lawyer who's shockingly good at archery.
Yeah.
So you see if that happens there. All right, what's next?
From Monkey Pants, I think you were right, John. Jeremy Johns reviewed Madam Web, saying that the script is awful, that it's the worst one of the year, and it will be for a while.
Well, I mean, Jeremy's not alone. I mean, everybody seems to be saying, or at least, 83% of the people are saying it's truly, truly awful. And again, we should not be surprised, because when the studio is telling you their movie is awful, it's probably awful. And Sony spent a lot of time telling us their movie's awful. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher again, Suits is getting the attention Psych deserves.
I never did watch Psych.
It's fun.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people always tell me I should check it out. One of these days I will get around to it. All right, what's next?
That's what everyone said about Suits.
From Kyle McComb, currently planning a late Valentine's Day weekend theater double feature of Madam Web and The Taste of Things, charmingly named The Taste of Madam Web.
What is The Taste of Things?
It is a movie about a
Tasting
cook.
things?
No, it's a French film, I want to say, with Juliette Binoche.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, I just saw it pop up
Yeah.
on AMC's website. It looks like a period piece. I mean, it is a period piece, so.
I don't know why, I like cooking films.
Yeah, they
Whether it's Jon
both are like
Favreau's
chefs.
Chef, or whether it's Ratatouille, or whether it's, what was that one with Julia and Julia? Whether it's, I like cooking
I
movies.
love cooking movies.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
From Christopher Brickner, from Morbius to Madam Web, Sony is killing it.
Literally.
And seriously, they're killing this series. Somebody stop them before they finish the job.
Yeah, I'm just so baffled about how they can be so good at meticulously getting the right people with the right resources and the right support to make the animated Spider-Man films, and they just shit the bed so badly with live action. Like, why can't you put that same care that you put into the animated stuff into the live action stuff? Like, with the animated stuff, we got to get the right producers, the right directors, the right people in charge, the right writers. We got to get give them the right support. To do that with the animated ones, but you don't know how to do that with the live action ones. It's just confounding to me. All right, what's next?
From Christopher Brickner again, I have faith in the Craven film because it's from the dependable action writer Richard Wenk, the Equalizer films, and acclaimed director J.C. Chander.
Look, yeah, the thing
It's
about
in better hands. Yeah.
the thing about Craven is that it's got some things going for it, which was part of the reason that I've been maybe naively optimistic for it. But I guess the next trailer is going to have to win me back over, because I have no reason to believe in it right now. So hopefully it turns out to be great. I mean, again, we go into every movie hoping every movie we see will be great. So maybe they'll turn things around with Craven. Who knows? All right, what's next?
From Aspor Loki Runnerson, both villains of Captain America 4 are typically Hulk villains. Who are the villains in Cap 4?
Well, I know they said the leader is going to be.
Oh yeah.
Because what's his name from Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yep. I always forget his name.
Yeah, I always forget.
love the actor.
Tim something?
Yep. Someone in the chat will say
Tim
it.
Blake Nelson.
Tim
Tim
Blake
Blake
Nelson.
Nelson,
Yeah, they
yes.
said he's going to be in there. We don't know that Thunderbolt Ross is going to be a villain. I mean, he's a jerk in the MCU, but he's not a villain in the MCU. So I don't know. We'll have to see where they go with that. All right, what's next?
From, whoo boy, Madam Web. You probably don't remember, but when you first heard Madam Web had the Morbius writers, you said you'd skip it. With reviews out, are you officially considering skipping it, or are you a masochist?
No, I'm going. I got to see for myself.
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about this stuff, so we have to.
It's a movie news show. We have to see trash sometimes.
I just have to see for myself with this one. So, and I'm hoping I'm going to go in and say, everybody else is crazy. I love this movie. It's unlikely, but who knows? All right, what's next?
From Nerds Engage. Good morning. Was just wondering your thoughts on if the Sony movies releasing clearly to keep the license are hurting comic book films financially.
We talked about this. We talked about this actually a little bit on open mic yesterday. By the way, guys, we're going to do another open mic later this afternoon. So if you just want to hang out casually and just talk about movies and stuff, come on by and join me for open mic later. But one of the things we talked about in open mic is that, yeah, James Gunn and Kevin Feige do not like seeing Sony putting out crap. Because remember, we're talking about the audience. It's not comic book movie fatigue. It's bad movie fatigue. It's mediocrity fatigue. And when other comic, because remember, a lot of the movie going audience doesn't care about the corporate label on a superhero. They just know, oh, this is a superhero movie. They don't care if the DC label's on it or the Marvel label's on it or the Sony label's on it. They don't, most average moviegoers don't care about that. And Kevin Feige and James Gunn, they don't want to see Sony putting out content that is making the opinion of comic book movies get lowered in the eyes of average filmgoers. And that's what Madam Web is doing. So could it hurt? Sure. Thankfully for DC and Marvel, DC doesn't have another movie coming out for a year, and Marvel doesn't have one coming out for 5 months. So hopefully people will wash the stench of Madam Web out of their mouths by then. All right, what's next?
From Raymond Verrata. Can they remake The Day After Today?
I can even call it that.
The Day After Today. You could, except when The Day After came out, like we had never seen what they were putting in that movie, like seeing nuclear explosions going off and cities getting devastated and people dying of lingering radiation poisoning, stuff like that. In the modern era of visual effects and disaster movies, I mean, we've all seen Terminator with nukes hitting cities and stuff like that. So I don't know if it would have the same impact today. I don't know. All right, what's next?
From Kyler Hodick. Fury Road and Dune were both nominated for 10 Oscars, won 6, but lost Best Picture. Fury Road made $380 million and Dune made $400 million. Now their Fallout movies are coming out within the next 4 months.
Yeah, of course, a little bit of a caveat between the difference between those movies is that Dune got released the same day on HBO Max, where people literally could have just stayed at home and watched it. And it still managed to make $400 million at the box office, which is quite impressive. So I'm very excited to see. Remember, they're saying the advanced ticket sales for Dune 2 are ahead of what Oppenheimer's advanced ticket sales were. Now, Oppenheimer nearly made $1 billion. I'm not saying Dune 2 is going to get $900+ million, but it's all looking very, very promising. But yeah, that is a big, big distinction between Fury Road and the Dune film. But I'm curious to see Anya Taylor-Joy in Furiosa. And Chris Hemsworth looks nutty in it. I really like the look of Chris Hemsworth in that too. All right, what's next?
You remember this scene?
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Yep.
I told you the movie, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was made in 1983 on a TV budget. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Idea. From Jose. Fallout is the day after.
Oh yeah, Fallout, like the game. Fallout is the day after.
Wait, when does the Fallout show come out?
April
It's
11th.
coming
Or April
soon,
12th.
yeah.
Not until
12th.
April?
Yeah.
All right, I'm really excited to see that. We bumped into, me and Dennis Zen, we went to the Game Awards this year. And we bumped into, because we got to go through this, I don't know how we ended up getting in there, but they ended up herding us into this VIP entrance. And as we got to it, the cast of Fallout was there, including Walton Goggins. So you literally got to bump into Walton Goggins and say hi. Anyway, so it was pretty fun. All right, what's next?
From Harv's K, Prey 2, plus another standalone Predator movie, are in the works, although not clear whether they will be straight to Hulu or the theaters. Do you think Prey Predator deserves another shot in theaters?
No. Oh, are you talking about the sequel or like re-releasing Prey?
Yeah.
The sequel.
Oh, listen, Prey was the best Predator movie since the original. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by how good that little movie was. And it has the feel of a little movie. It's just a couple of characters, you know, one outdoor location sort of thing. It feels like a very simple movie, but was surprisingly effective. So I know if they do put Prey 2 in theaters, because I remember a lot of us said after seeing Prey, they should have put that in theaters. I mean, that movie should have gone to theaters. So, you know, we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing it. That's for sure. All right, what's next?
From J Loco, I hope we get a Brightburn 2. More horror supers.
I hated that movie. And
It didn't
I
do much
love
for me.
Elizabeth Banks. I love her. The dude from The Office was the dad, Pam's fiance.
Oh,
What was his name again?
Roy?
Roy, but I
Roy,
can't
yeah.
remember his actual name.
Was the dad. And the concept of Brightburn was
David Denman.
wonderful. What's that?
David Denman is the actor.
Okay. And the concept of Brightburn was wonderful. What happens in the Superman mythos if it's a bad kid? How bad could it be? And by the way, that was the first time I heard Billie Eilish's I'm the Bad Guy song was in the credits for that, which is perfect for it. But ultimately, I thought it was kind of a snoozer of a movie. I wanted to like it more. I was fascinated by it, and it did not do well. It did not do well at the box office, so I don't think we're going to see a second one. They keep talking about a second one, but I don't think we're going to see it. All right, what's next?
From, guys, stop with these names. Daddy Logan. Do you think we will slowly see quality of MCU improve now that Iger is back? Similar to how we say it saw it slowly decline with Chapek?
Yes, but it's not because Iger's back. I mean, indirectly it is, but it's because Kevin Feige has his authority again. Kevin Feige has his power again. He can do what he feels is best now, instead of being told by a middle layer management banker the stuff he had to make and where that stuff had to go. And we've already seen Kevin Feige make some significant moves, having regained his stature. And I think that's so. Iger had to come back in order to give Feige that. That's great. But really, the real reason where I hope that I am hopeful that we will see things turn around with Marvel is because now Kevin Feige's got his authority back, and it's going to take us a year or so to see the results of that. But hopefully that's the direction we're heading in. Hopefully. All right, what's next?
From Matthew Gladney, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Matthew.
Amazon be like, I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
That's a perfect analogy. Like, hey, pay for Amazon Prime for the year and you get this and this. Great. Okay, now give us more money. No. I paid you for the year. You said, no, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't know. That's exactly what they are. Amazon is Darth Vader in this situation. By the way, I'm a fan of Amazon. I use them almost every day. But in this, that's pretty crappy. It needs to get fixed. All right, what's next?
From Devin Lita, Weenie Rockets. Yep.
Amazon.
Amazon Weenie Rockets.
What is that?
They're
Because I had
rockets.
talked about penis rockets earlier.
Oh, got it. All right, what's next?
I say a lot of things, you guys, about weens. All right. Kendall Barker. We're altering the terms of our annual deal. Pray would you not alter them further? Amazon.
Yep.
Another one.
Right.
Fuzzy FJ. Got my tickets to watch One Love with the Wife for Valentine's Day tomorrow. What is the one biopic you would like to see that they haven't done yet?
Oh, a biopic that they haven't done yet that I would really like to see. That's a good question. I'm not really sure. Well, honestly, I think this is going to sound odd to a lot of people. Billy Graham, the Reverend Billy Graham. He was like one of the last, not his idiot son, but like the Reverend Billy Graham was like one of the last, I hate using the word celebrity, but he was a religious man that was true to his faith. I don't find that a lot. in American religion today. I could go into a big, long diatribe right now, but I won't. But I would be fascinated in a biopic on the life of the Reverend Billy Graham. All right, what's next?
From Johnny Wiener. It's my birthday today. Yay!
Happy birthday!
And I'm about to watch Dune Part 1, and they're now selling the popcorn bucket for my collection. Just wanted to let you know, thank you for the awesome community you created. Oh my gosh, Johnny, enjoy your bucket.
Did you see that Saturday Night Live did a sketch
Oh, it's perfect.
on the bucket?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, tonight's the night. It's like, oh my God. All right, what's next?
From Alex Bartholomew, who sends in a $20 super
Thank
chat.
you, Alex.
Sorry, my part 2 failed yesterday. Twisters is my most anticipated film of the year, but do you think releasing so close to Deadpool will hurt it at the box office? Love the show and bring on the filthy.
Oppenheimer and Barbie released on the same day.
Yeah.
And they nearly both made $1 billion. Barbie crossed the $1 billion mark. Oppenheimer got really, really close to the $1 billion mark. So, no, listen, if people go to the movies and have a good time, they're more likely to want to go back to the movies. So, no, I don't think it'll hurt it. I mean, you might not want to release Twister on the same day you release Deadpool. And one of the big things about the Barbenheimer thing was that they are two very different movies going for different demographics. And Twister is a little bit more to the demographic of Deadpool. Not completely, but a little bit more. But, you know, I think it'll be fine. As long as they're not releasing on the same day, I think they'll be okay. All right. And by the way, side note, I'm not sure how many people want to see Twisters as it is.
I do.
Twister.
I mean, I thought the trailer, I was impressed with the trailer. I liked it.
Where was the cow?
But a lot of people, Ron was
was
talking
that
about
cow?
that.
Where was the cow?
Like, where was that big moment,
We
that
ain't
talk
hurting no more
about
cows.
moment? No more cows.
No more cow hurt.
Justice for the
Says
cow.
the
It
man
should
who
be
eats
in there.
burgers.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From CJ, hashtag restore the Sonyverse. Restore?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they started off so well with the first Venom. I had so much fun with the first Venom movie, but maybe that was just a fluke. All right, what's next?
From Paul Smith, Deadpool 3 theory. Wade says rough few years due to pregnancy complications since starting in Deadpool 2.
Since starring in Deadpool 2.
Starring in Deadpool 2, causing rifts in their relationship, hence the buddy.
Well, I said that on the show yesterday, that I think that him and what's Marina Baccarin's character's name again?
Vanessa.
Vanessa. I think the relationship between him and Vanessa is over. Because he talks about it's been a really rough couple of years. He's kind of down and depressed. They show that shot without dialogue of the two of them together, but kind of looking away from each other. And then when she's saying happy birthday, she says, happy birthday, buddy. So yes, I think their relationship is over and he's going to try to get it back. I don't know that for sure, but that's my theory. I think their relationship is over, which would suck, but hopefully he gets it back. All right, what's next?
From Murray Rake, just came out of watching Argyle and it was meh. Story was all over the place. Twists, turns, gave me so much headache. Bryce, Rockwell were good, but what the fuck was that ending and credit scene? Barf emoji.
It's awful. The movie's awful. Did you get it?
I still haven't gone because everyone has been like, Chris, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. And I still need to see it so I can see for myself. But
he's right. Like, Sam Rockwell's performance is really quite good. Bryce Dallas Howard is delightful. But it's good performances being given in a really bad movie.
No.
And just the twists and turns that they think are clever are just stupid. And I'm sorry, you cannot ice skate on a steel floor just because there's oil on it. Yeah, no.
That hurts my brain.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And you guys know how much I wanted to love this film. I mean, I love Matthew Vaughn. I love Henry Cavill. I love Samuel L. Jackson. I love Sam Rockwell. I love Bryce Dallas Howard. Love Kevin's mom in Home Alone.
Catherine O'Hara.
I love Catherine O'Hara. I wanted to love this movie so bad, but it was so bad.
On the bright side, though, there's still time to do a double feature of this and
Madam Web.
Oh my gosh.
Double feature, double
You
header.
have the worst day.
All right, what's next?
From Amin. Did you see the first official pic of Jafar Jackson for the Michael Jackson biopic? He looks exactly like him, like freakishly so. Now let's just hope he can act. Fingers crossed.
That's my thing.
Yeah, they made him up to look very similar to his uncle.
He is his nephew,
Yeah.
but I mean.
Yeah, they made him, and they had to do a little makeup stuff just to make it. But again, just because this is why when people complain, that guy doesn't even look like that guy. It doesn't matter. That's not what's going to make the movie good or not. And him looking like his uncle ain't going to make the movie any better. So here's hoping he can act. That's going to be the big thing. But yes, it is a little bit uncanny how much they made him look like his uncle. All right, what's next?
From Nerds Engage, part 2 of that question. When a studio only produces for license and not quality, it's just a giant FU to the audiences.
Again, why not do both? Hey, we got to make a Spider-Man verse movie to make sure we maintain the rights. Okay, so let's do what we did with the animated movies. Let's bring in really, really good people, and let's make a lot of money and please the fans. I don't know. That seems like a lot of work. I was hoping to, play Halo today. It just, I don't understand, because there's nothing wrong with wanting to put out the movies to maintain the IP. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not an either or. You can do both. Let's make a movie to maintain the IP, and let's put energy and effort into it to make it quality and make us a buttload of money and make the fans happy. Why not do both? Instead, they went, hey, what are those guys who just wrote Morbius for us doing? Flipping burgers? I mean, because that's really all they're good for at this point. That was mean. That was mean. I regretted saying that. But they're not very good screenwriters. So anyway, what's next?
From Madam Web. Sony's Holmes and Watson had only one trailer.
And that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks. Despite the fact that you had two of the greatest comic geniuses of our time in there, that movie was also really, really, really bad. All right, what's next?
From Andy, if I see anybody put a little too much butter into or walk into the bathroom with the Dune popcorn bucket at the movies, I'm going to think that's a little sus.
Like, why? I mean,
Get that abomination away. Oh.
why? Like,
They should just have them.
there's
in the
nothing sus
bathroom
about
already.
that.
Like, did nobody ever look, like, did nobody in quality control or at the company look at this and say, I have a question? Like, did nobody raise any kind of
This is where
concerns
HR
about-
fails you, because everyone was too scared to say, I think someone's going to fuck it.
Could we just call it the fuck it bucket?
Yeah.
Or it's like the sweetest HR where they're like, I don't see anything wrong with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the
That
pure
looks like a
innocent,
sandworm to me.
Yeah,
pure
that's a
innocent.
sandworm.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
I got 3 on pre-order.
No.
I got 3 on pre-order.
There's 3 different kinds depending.
From Andy again. How bad is the mid or post-credit scene likely to be for Madam Web? Better or worse than Morbius's post-credit scene?
I have not heard of a post-credit scene in this movie.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
no
why would there
credit
be
scene.
one?
I think I'll probably stick around to see if there is one out of morbid curiosity.
All right. Let me know how it is.
Ray will still be
We're
there.
driving separate.
All right, what's next?
From Pab, what's up, crew from New Orleans? Where is it? Where it's Mardi Gras Day. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you guys going live each day. God bless.
Oh, thank you so much for that. You know, I've never been to Nolans. I think they say how you say it. I've always wanted to go though.
I love it.
I remember my parents went down once for a trip and they came back and they said they just had a blast. So you've been to New Orleans?
Oh yeah, I love it. It's great.
Oh, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. Like, they make it look. Now, I've heard it's also got a huge crime rate there, but I've
Yeah.
heard if you're in the right part of town, it's just like a real, really cool experience.
Just don't make yourself don't put yourself out there for danger. Like, be smart about what your surroundings, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. I never actually got to hang out. I had like a drink on
yeah.
Bourbon Street, but I would go for auditions.
I had a
and I'd come
rule.
back.
If I wasn't full, I was eating.
Oh yeah, I've heard
That's
the
smart.
food is so good
You
there.
be careful, John, though, because there's a lot of spice.
I heard spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'll
be
have to be
I don't
careful.
know how you do.
Just give me a plate of white rice, please.
Dude, just go fill up on beignets in
Oh yeah.
Cafe du Monde.
All right,
White
what's next?
rice. That sounds so just by itself.
From Andy again. I bet we'll see Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania. A big social media influencer versus the face of the biggest meme ever, and the U.S. title has been synonymous with Cena for the past decade.
Maybe.
That's a good match.
Is
I
it?
I like Logan Paul in the ring for real.
Do you think
Like,
John Cena would do that as a match though?
He's doing a lot for like a lot of the younger guys. I would see him. I could see him doing that.
Oh,
I mean,
all right.
he was at the point where I think he needed to win one more title to get the record of Ric Flair or something like that. I'm not sure. Don't count me on that. But
I don't enjoy Logan Paul as a human, but yeah, I mean, you got to give it to
He's
him on his
great.
athleticism.
He's
He
great
really
in the
can
ring.
commit in the
I've
ring.
been seeing more stuff pop up online about their crypto scams and
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
the guy who did CoffeeZilla?
CoffeeZilla.
Yeah, he's been putting out even more stuff about
He
the
did-
scams with the
yeah.
Logans and
He did a piece on Cast Media too.
oh, that's right, he did do a piece on
After
Cast
all that,
Media. Yeah, the
fallout.
people that ripped
Yeah.
us off of $100,000. Thank you very much. That could have been my camper van. All right, what's next?
From Susie Indie Music Fan, another podcaster, NFL is the only reason TV channels still exist. Any platform who gets the rights to stream Premier League and European Championship worldwide would have ridiculous numbers tuning in.
You know, I think I heard that one of the streamers just signed rights, like North American streaming rights for the Premier League, I think. And I can't remember which one. I don't remember if it was Netflix or somebody else, but that'll be really big amongst a demographic of people. 100% it would be. All right, what's next?
From Casinema, in terms of live action Spider Man stuff, it feels like Sony put most, if not all, of their genuine effort into the Venom movies and nothing else.
So far.
It
So
says with
far.
Sky Sports and TNT Sports.
All right, well,
Sorry,
I might have been thinking of something else then, but yeah, again, I don't get it. Like, how can the studio that gave us the most recent Ghostbusters movie, which was so good and so fun, and gave us these Spider-Man animated films, which are like, I think should be nominated for Best Picture of the Year, then turn around and give us the first Venom movie? Like, how can they turn around and do this? I just don't get it. Like, where does your ethics go? Where does your work ethic go?
Also, going back, it's TNT is Warner Brothers Discovery. So that
Yeah, it's
might
going to
what
be
you're
part of
talking-
that new sports
Yeah,
app
yeah.
that Disney Plus and Warner Brothers are
So
making.
they
Yeah.
did get a piece of that Premier League.
All right, what's next?
From Placius, more bad Sony movies means Spidey returns to Sony.
Maybe, but there's also an argument to be said that the partnership between Marvel and Sony has been very, very profitable for both Marvel and Sony. And there's an argument there to be made that, hey, we're making crowd-pleasing movies with Marvel with our Spider-Man character, and we're making money. So, yeah, listen, here's the problem. If you keep everything else the same, but just bring Spider-Man into your Sonyverse, then you're just going to have shitty pieces of crap movies with Spider-Man in them, instead of shitty pieces of crap movies without Spider-Man in them. What's got to change is their entire philosophy and their entire approach to making these movies, and get it more in line with the approaches they're taking with their animated Spider-Man movies. Because until they do that, it doesn't matter if they bring Spider-Man back into the Sonyverse. It's irrelevant. A crappy movie without Spider-Man is still a crappy movie with Spider-Man. They got to really change the way they do this. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
From Dan's Production, Sony don't want to lose those Spidey rights, I see.
Again, it's not they got to make movies, but nothing says you got to make bad ones.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. As a fan, I wouldn't even be nearly as upset if we looked at the production of this movie and saw that they were putting an effort to try to make a good movie and it just turned out bad. You know, I can say that about, I don't like Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of the Fabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. I don't like that movie. But you know what? I can look at that movie and go, hey man, they put Ewan McGregor in this. They brought in these people. They had this producer and that. And when I look at the screen, I can clearly see they were swinging for something. Like they were trying, right? And it didn't work for me. It didn't work. They fell on their face. Okay, that's fine. They clearly tried. If I could at least look at something like this and see that Sony tried, they went out and got decent writers and they try to attach some of their better producers and they kind of at least put together a script that looked like it would have been a really good idea, but it didn't work, I would be okay with that. Because making a good movie is really hard. I understand that. It is. So that's fine. But it's just when you look at it, you can see they didn't even try. So it's fine if you got to make another Spider-Verse movie to make sure you keep the rights. But why not make it a good one? Why not make it profitable? Why not try to make it something that the audience likes and makes you money? This is the part that really confuses me.
It seems like they're giving away these projects to like as assignments and not like to people who actually would care about the properties.
Yeah, or literally just telling them we don't care. Like, again, they hired the guys who wrote Morbius and Gods of Egypt.
It seemed like an assignment.
Yeah.
That's what it's turning out to be.
All right, what's next?
Those dudes scored on a gig, man.
Yeah.
From Tiriv. It's been a decade since the Sony hack. Are we seeing Sony didn't really learn any lessons from the feedback they received then? Save the Spider-Verse movies.
Well, listen, Sony's done a lot of good stuff. Let's not. Here's the problem with us as fans, and we're all guilty of this, me included. When something bad happens, we tend to brush the entire person or organization or whatever with that one thing. The Spider-Verse thing sucks. There's been a couple of other missteps Sony has done, but also Sony has had some big successes. I mean, look at what they're doing with their video game translation stuff now. Last of Us turned out great. Uncharted actually turned out to be a little bit, even though I didn't like the movie, turned out to be a bit of a success for them. Their Spider-Verse animated movies are Oscar winning, but I just don't know why they just can't do it right here.
They should have did that crossover, that 21 Jump Street and Men in Black.
You know what? I laughed as hard as anybody when the news of that first came out. But then I remember me and Amy Rose Eisenbach, like we both like laughed at that hilariously. But then like after a couple of days, we both started going, you know what? There could be something there, but maybe they should have done it. All right, what's next?
From Devin Lita, Madam Web fell down and hit hole. I'll see it.
And it hit. Oh, I'll see it. Well, I'm going to go see it. Do a out of theater reaction tomorrow. All right, what's next?
From Ladislav Mizanik, was thinking I'll watch Madam Web tomorrow, but now I think I'll go watch Dune Part 1 again.
Oh, that sounds like a good decision. That sounds like a good. But I'm already going to go see Dune Part 1 again tonight. So, again, morbid curiosity. Just pure Morbius curiosity to see how good or bad.
Morbius curiosity.
Just Morbius curiosity. All right, what's next?
From Eric Andre the Giant, a 30-second Super Bowl commercial cost $7 million. Nobody's paid that much for 30 seconds since the Jets signed Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Andre the Giant.
I like that. That was very, very, very good.
Chris got it.
It went right over my head.
Yep, $7 million for 30
Chris
seconds. As I pointed out in my last
Is that
career,
the one who dates Shailene Woodley?
Yeah.
Is that the one who's got
Yes,
vaccination
Chris.
thoughts?
in my last career, that's what I charged for a lap dance. 7 million, 30 seconds.
For 30 seconds.
Yep.
Okay.
It was a lucrative career.
What an illustrious career. I assume you
It was lucrative.
The
All right, what's
ringing
next?
off the hook.
From Eric Hendershaw. Just some support. Thank
Thank
you so
you,
much,
Eric.
Mr. Godzilla sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Mr. Godzilla.
Mr. Godzilla.
Deadpool 3 will be a big hit for Marvel, but I'll say it again. If the next 4 or whatever projects after Deadpool 3 are met with a negative response, movie or show, etc., by fans and or critics, Deadpool 3's success means little in the long run.
Oh, no, 100%. We talked about this on Open Mic last night. Like, Deadpool 3 can be the thing that saves the MCU. But here's the thing. If you get pulled out of the water when you're drowning and then just go to the other side of the boat and throw yourself back in the water, then being saved didn't mean anything, right? Deadpool can save the MCU in the sense that it puts them back on a positive trajectory, right? Clearly, it's the number one viewed trailer of all time. People are excited for this movie. Now, justify their excitement. If people go to watch Deadpool, have a great time, you've now re-energized the fan base. You've got positive momentum going, and now you can follow that up. And you can withstand a bump in the road here and there, but you got to follow it up. You know, I mentioned that quote on Open Mic yesterday, and this is true of the MCU and cinematic universes as well. Success is not bought. It is rented, and rent is due every day. Success is not bought, it's rented, and the rent is due every damn day. And that's the mentality Marvel has to have. It's like, great, we have a killer Deadpool movie. We hit it out of the park. Now we got to keep that going, and we got to keep the momentum going. And hopefully now that Kevin Feige has his power back, they're going to be able to do that. Hopefully. All right, what's next?
From Richard Lai, a Hollywood Reporter article, Where Have the DC Fans Gone, back in August, mentioned that DC fans aren't fans of the characters or universe, but of the filmmakers first, like Snyder or Gunn. Do you agree with this statement?
No. Because Aquaman was the most successful film the DCEU had. And it wasn't done by Gunn, and it wasn't done by Zack Snyder, and it wasn't done by whoever. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman film, was their first truly big hit. And it was not done by James Gunn, and it was not done by Zack Snyder, and it was not done by whatever, right? It's just that you can't put out, and remember, I'm saying this is somebody that I liked every single DCEU movie except for Wonder Woman 84 and except for Harley Quinn. Other than those two, I liked every single DCEU movie. Some I loved. But even though I liked or loved almost all of them, the reality is most people didn't. They were always met, other than Wonder Woman, they were always met with very divisive reactions, split opinions. Some people love them, a lot of people hate them. I still can't talk about how great Man of Steel is without having 20 people yell at me, Man of Steel sucks, right? And that's not sustainable as a cinematic universe. If the movies were crowd pleasing, if the movies won over the crowds and the critics and had more success at the box office, they would have been fine. It really wasn't. Now, it devolved to the point where the only people still kind of hanging on may have been some of those outliers. But overall, I don't personally agree with their assessment on that. All right, what's next?
From Josh McGregor, one of two. Recently, it seems that without the help of Marvel or animation, Sony doesn't seem to really make good Spider-Man movies.
Well, you can't caveat everything, right? You can't say, well, it seems without the help of Marvel and without animation. Well, the reality is animation is every bit of a valid movie form as anything else they do. They have done great with it, and they did great with the first Venom movie, and they've done great with the follow-up to Spider-Verse, and this is the frustrating part. They've shown that they have the ability to make these things entertaining. If it was just the fact that, you know what? Nobody over there is just talented. They're incapable of making good movies. So we shouldn't be surprised when they don't make good movies. No, they have shown, and this is what frustrates me. They've shown they can make good stuff when they apply themselves properly. When they take the time and energy and effort and make those movies a priority, they have shown that they have the ability to make them good. It's just they haven't given a crap lately, and that's the part that really, again, like I said, is frustrating. All right, what's next?
From Chelsea. Hi, John. Have to ask, where was Alien Romulus? I was slightly disappointed we didn't get a trailer.
I don't think there was ever any indication there was going to be an Alien Romulus trailer, was there? I might be mistaken about that. I might be wrong about that. When is Alien Romulus supposed to come out? Ray's looking it up right now.
It's expected August 16th, 2024.
Okay. That's still kind of like, that's still 6 months away, right? That's a little far out. So I'm not surprised. Like if it wasn't for the Super Bowl, and I don't know that they wanted to drop $7 million on a 30-second spot for it either. So, and that movie's still 6 months out. I think that might be a little early. Like for Deadpool, it was 5 months out, and that's a little early. But I mean, people have been waiting for Deadpool forever. It's the Super Bowl. It's the time to do it. But for Alien Romulus, I'm not really surprised they didn't do one. All right, what's next?
From Jai CSC, I've changed my mind. Right now, I think Deadpool and Wolverine could cross 1 billion. Also, pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes. Although, unless I'm at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. For any of you who have ever heard of the legend of Roscoe's, it's as good as the legend says. When I'm at Roscoe's, their waffles are crack. Like absolute crack. Like you take 2 bites and you'll be hooked on them, man. Their waffles are so good. So yeah. What was the first? Oh yeah. Listen, I've talked to a couple of people who said to me today, oh, okay, maybe it does make over 1 billion. Like when you shatter the all-time, like 10 million more views than the former biggest trailer view of all time. Yeah, people are clearly very, very hyped for this. All right, what's next?
From Callum, I can't wait for Sony to re-release Madam Web after thinking people actually like it.
The re-release happens in 3 weeks. It's going to be in theaters for 4 days, come out of theaters, and re-release it in a few weeks. All right. I mean, the pattern worked for Morbius. What's next?
From Blackadder. Hi, John and crew. I knew about the post-credits scene in Deadpool 2, but I thought it was just a funny scene with no impact on the film. So I was very surprised by the start of the trailer. Is it possible that it's not our Deadpool?
Oh no, it's our Deadpool. I mean, they're definitely doing it that way. This is the Deadpool we know. They were very, very insistent on that, actually, that it's the Deadpool we know. But obviously, listen, when they did that thing at the end, when he's got Cable's device to time travel, they were not thinking this will be a good lead into the MCU when we get there.
Right.
It just happened to be very fortuitous that it could tie in with something they've got going on in Marvel, and they just connected. But it is the Deadpool we know. All right, what's next?
From Jesse Price. Hey, John and crew, since the Deadpool teaser trailer has come out, what are the odds that we get a second trailer at CinemaCon?
If you talk to a Robert Meyer Burnett, he believes they are not going to give us a second trailer. He believes they're going to show us the movie. Now, I want to believe that, and there are still, I know one of the 3 screenings is going to be an early screening of Fall Guy, and I'm very excited about that. But there are still 2. There's one secret screening that they're not even telling us which studio it's from. I don't recall that ever happening at CinemaCon. Like, it's always, join us for a special presentation of a Paramount Pictures feature film. And they just don't tell you what it is, right? That happens. But I've never seen, I don't recall seeing at any rate, having a block of time in the schedule says, join us just for a secret screening from one of our presenting studios. It's like, oh. The problem is that May, June, July, is that Deadpool will still be 3 months away from when CinemaCon happens. Now, that being said, they showed us Joyride last year, and it was still a couple of months until that movie came out, wasn't it?
Yep.
But this isn't Joyride. This is Deadpool. So I think definitely a second trailer, but Rob seems convinced, man, that they're going to show us the movie itself. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, time for 2 more. What's next?
From Izante. Over under chances of Walker Scoble, Adam Project, Percy Jackson, cameos as Kidpool in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Here's the problem. I really like the Adam Project. It was quite a pleasant surprise for me. I had a good time with that. I don't know if a ton of people watched it though. So and I'm saying I don't know. Like I legitimately, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people watch it. So having Walker Scoble pop up as like Kidpool or whatever, would most of the people in the theater even get the joke? It's like, why is Percy Jackson popping up? Like, I don't know if they'll identify him with this. Like those of us who make a show like this and watch a show like this, we know, but I don't know I think most of the audience members would be sitting there going, what? I don't know. So
well, if Kidpool is in it, then it'll definitely be. Well, not definitely, but it might be him. If Kidpool does show up in
I just
Deadpool,
don't think anybody gets. I just don't know if anybody gets the joke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's Kidpool and that has to do with the story in that moment or that scene, fine. And then for the people who know, but don't make it like a get it because he was also in a movie with Ryan Reynolds. You know.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in those questions. Number 1, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget, a little bit later this afternoon, we're going to be doing an open mic. That'll be at 4:15 Pacific time, Los Angeles time. So come on back and join us for that. So until then, I want to thank the people in the room with me. Ray Ora.
Get that bucket.
Jonathan Voico.
Keep that bucket away from me.
Keep that bucket. Chris Carr. And a big thank you to you guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.